Throughout history, humanity has grappled with a fundamental question. If there is a benevolent and all-powerful God, why does evil exist? It's a question that has haunted philosophers and theologians for millennia. Different religious traditions and scholars offer various perspectives on this topic. In this exploration, we delve into some of the most common views within Christian thought, seeking to shed light on this age-old dilemma. Join me as we navigate the intricate pathways of theology and grapple with the profound implications of this enduring question. One of the most prevalent explanations for the existence of evil centers around the concept of free will. This perspective, known as the free will theodicy, posits that God did not create evil directly. Rather, he created beings with the freedom to choose evil. Imagine a world where every action, every thought was preordained, where the tapestry of life was woven without the threads of individual choice. In such a world, could love truly exist? Could genuine relationships flourish without the possibility of rejection? Moral evil, then, is not a direct creation of God, but a consequence of the choices made by beings endowed with free will. This perspective finds resonance in the biblical narrative of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. In Genesis, Adam and Eve were given a choice to obey God's command or to disobey. Their choice, driven by temptation and a desire for knowledge, led to the introduction of sin into the world. The free will theodicy argues that this act of disobedience set in motion the chain of events that have resulted in the evil we see around us. Yet this perspective also offers a glimmer of hope. If evil is a consequence of human choices, then it stands to reason that humanity also possesses the capacity to choose good. Another perspective on the existence of evil is what's often referred to as the greater good defense. This view suggests that suffering and evil can serve a purpose, however difficult it may be to comprehend. Imagine a blacksmith forging a sword. The metal is heated to an unbearable temperature, hammered relentlessly and plunged into cold water. Yet it is through this very process that the sword is tempered, strengthened, made capable of withstanding the rigors of battle. The greater good defense proposes that suffering and evil, while undeniably painful, can produce virtues like compassion, patience, and resilience. These virtues might not exist in a world devoid of hardship. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Romans, writes, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." Romans 8:28. This verse is often cited in support of the greater good defense. This doesn't negate the pain of loss or the anguish of suffering, but it offers a framework for understanding how God might use even the most difficult experiences to shape us and draw us closer to him. It encourages us to trust in his goodness and sovereignty, even when we can't see the bigger picture. The absence of good argument takes a different approach to understanding evil, suggesting that evil is not a thing in itself, but rather the absence of something else, the absence of good. Think of light and darkness. Light has its own properties, its own source. Darkness, on the other hand, is defined by the absence of light. Similarly, this perspective argues that evil is not a creation of God, but a deprivation, a corruption, a distortion of something originally good. Just as a disease can corrupt a healthy body, so too can evil twist and pervert what was once good. This view finds support in the book of James, where it states, "For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone," James 1:13. This verse emphasizes that God is not the source of evil. He does not tempt us with it. Instead, the absence of good argument suggests that evil arises when we turn away from God, when we choose to reject his love and guidance. It's in those moments of separation, of choosing darkness over light, that evil finds a foothold. This perspective challenges us to examine our own hearts, to identify areas where we might be clinging to darkness rather than embracing the light of God's love. It reminds us that true freedom and fulfillment are found not in the pursuit of selfish desires, but in aligning ourselves with the source of all goodness. The concept of God's sovereignty is central to many theological discussions, and it plays a significant role in attempts to understand the problem of evil. This view, often referred to as the sovereignty of God perspective, emphasizes that God is ultimately in control of all things, including evil. Imagine a grand tapestry being woven on a loom. The threads are intricate, the patterns complex, and to the untrained eye it might seem chaotic, even random. Yet the master weaver understands the purpose of each thread, the way they intertwine to create the intended design. The sovereignty of God perspective suggests that while God does not cause or endorse evil, he allows it for reasons that often transcend our finite human understanding. It posits that he works all things according to his will, even when those workings remain mysterious to us. A verse often cited in support of this view is Isaiah 45:7, where God says, "I form the light and create darkness. I bring prosperity and create disaster. I, the Lord, do all these things." However, it's crucial to interpret such verses within their broader biblical and theological context. This perspective doesn't diminish the reality of evil or suggest that God is indifferent to suffering. Rather, it emphasizes his absolute power and control over all creation, even in the midst of seemingly chaotic and painful events. The spiritual warfare view offers a lens to view the problem of evil. It delves into the spiritual realm, suggesting a cosmic conflict. Imagine two kingdoms vying for dominion, influencing humanity. On one side stands God, embodying love and light. On the other, Satan, embodying rebellion and darkness. Satan and fallen angels oppose God's will, leading humanity astray. Much of the evil we see is their influence. The book of Revelation depicts a final battle, ending in Satan's defeat. Ultimately, evil will be vanquished and God's kingdom will reign. This view offers hope, assuring us of God's victory. The question of why God allows evil is a tapestry woven from threads of mystery, faith, and human experience. The perspectives we've explored offer glimpses into the complexities of this age-old dilemma, each highlighting different aspects of God's nature, human freedom, and the nature of evil itself. While Christianity holds that God is ultimately good, the allowance of evil is often explained as necessary for free will, moral growth, or part of a larger divine plan that will culminate in the final defeat of evil. Different Christian denominations and thinkers emphasize various aspects of this issue, but most agree that God's goodness will prevail in the end.